the Metropolitan Opera hadn't performed Porgy and Bess in nearly 30 years. So for me, I sort of felt like I might sound a little silly saying it, but I felt like the timing, everything felt perfect in the timing for me to sing Bess at the Metropolitan Opera. It was almost seemed like the 30-year pause of them doing this opera. I sort of felt like it was my time to come forward and sing this great opera.
This week at the NCPA, we're very proud to welcome Angel Blue, the soprano. She's a native of California and operatic soprano, and her voice has been recognized for its shining and agile upper register, smoky middle register, as well as her beautiful timbre, and the ability to switch from a classical to contemporary sound. We're very pleased to have her more so because I can now call her a regular in India. She's been here a few
Yay!
times, and and we love watching her perform. Hi, and really, this season must have been extraordinarily special because Maestro Zubin Mehta was back at the NCPA. Your experience of coming back to the NCPA for the second time, performing with the Symphony Orchestra of India. Talk about how all of that went. I mean, were you able to savor the moment, or was it just like a whirlwind?
Well, it's a bit of both actually, because it definitely feels like a whirlwind because it was a last minute cancellation for a soprano, and I was incredibly honored when I heard that that they needed someone to jump in. And India is a place. It's I've only been there now. This is my second time, but um, it's a place where I will hope to frequent. It would be great to visit once a year and to be with the Symphony Orchestra of India annually, because not only are they a great orchestra, but I honestly feel like I'm at home when I'm there. And of course, singing with Maestro Mehta was wonderful and such a, I don't know how to really explain it. I want to say it was a very, it was a joyful experience, but it was so much more than uh, I think than anything I've done recently in terms of the importance of being with him with that orchestra in India. So I feel for me it's just really a full circle. Also for me, I've known Maestro Mehta since I was in my early 20s, and I've known him for nearly 20 years. And so he worked with me a lot on operas like La Traviata and Carmen. I sing Micaela and Carmen, and a few other things, other repertoire I've worked with him on, a few symphonic pieces also. So I just really was honored to be there, and I was really thankful that he thought of me to fill in for the soprano who canceled. I hope she's well now, of course. But what a great place! I've only been to Mumbai, so I haven't, or to Bombay. I haven't been to other places. So I'm hoping to visit again and maybe go to Delhi and Calcutta and some other places. And eventually, I'd like to make my way up to Nepal, of course. But that just means you have to invite me back.
Yeah, we'll make sure that happens. And you're only talking about the north of India and moving into the Himalayas and the mountains. The south of India is lovely. I mean, it's got the Indian
Oh,
Ocean, and
yes.
there's Chennai and there's Cochin. So we've got to have you back a few times
Yes, yes, I hope so.
for you to cover all of that. But listen, the last four songs with Maestro Zubin Mehta and the Symphony Orchestra of India, I want you to talk to me about the SOI because it's very important for us. It is our only symphonic orchestra. It's based in Mumbai at the NCPA. And, it's wonderful for them to have Maestro Zubin Mehta and somebody of your caliber also coming and performing with them. So talk to me about that.
Yes, the four last songs are very special, by Richard Strauss, and they're special, I think, because really because of the poetry. That's what I think, and of course it's set to orchestra, so it's this sort of celebration of voice and orchestra together in sort of a recital kind of setting, but of course with orchestra. I For me, the four last songs, they're the easiest songs to sing. They're very simple musically speaking, but it's very hard to sing them because of what they mean. It's sort of it's a celebration of life and death, love and the failure to love. And I think what happens with those pieces is that the orchestra plays such a huge part, as well as the singer, of course. So you need a very special orchestra to have all of the nuances in the piece. And also, you need a very special conductor to understand the nuances in the piece. So, of course, Maestro Mehta does that in spades. One of the things that I don't know that the audience had the opportunity to see this. I don't think they would have, but I know the orchestra did, and I know that I did, was Maestro Mehta sings with me. So as he's conducting, he's also mouthing the words. He's also singing along with me, and that's beautiful. It's a wonderful experience for me because I know that he's not just thinking about the orchestra or just about conducting. He's also thinking about me. So I feel like I'm more a part of what's happening on stage. But it was such a great experience for me to be with the Symphony Orchestra of India again, and this time with Maestro Mehta with the four last songs. I don't know that I won't soon forget that. I won't soon forget that major experience in my life. Is we have that saying, it's a feather in my cap, and I that's how I feel about it.
You know, for regulars of the NCPA, you would know this. For those of you who are not regulars, I might tell you that we have regular screenings at the National Center of the Performing Arts. So even apart from all these live performances, the one that Angel Blue was part of with Zubin Mehta and the Symphony Orchestra of India, we also have screenings on a giant screen. And I don't know how many of you were there when the Met Opera was screened, and in particular the Metropolitan production of Porgy and Bess, in which Angel Blue, performs, and she's picked up a Grammy Award for Best Opera Recording for the Metropolitan production of Porgy and Bess. So NCPA regulars would remember watching this, and especially NCPA regular opera members. I'd like you to talk about that. It's no mean feat picking up a Grammy for Porgy and Bess.
Yes, that was another wonderful experience. It was the Metropolitan Opera hadn't performed Porgy and Bess in nearly 30 years. So for me, I sort of felt like I might sound a little silly saying it, but I felt like the timing, everything felt perfect in the timing for me to sing Bess at the Metropolitan Opera. It was almost seemed like the 30-year pause of them doing this opera. I sort of felt like it was my time to come forward and sing this great opera with an awesome cast, actually. And that was one of the very special moments about being in Porgy and Bess, was the ensemble. It was all of the people, and everyone made their part really important to the story. And that doesn't always happen in operas. Sometimes people can feel, oh, I should be singing a bigger role, or sometimes someone is singing a bigger role and the role is daunting, and so it can kind of sort of offset things. But I really felt this was one time where I was singing in an opera where everyone really stepped forward and brought their absolute best. And I think that's one of the things that can be heard on the recording, is that everyone is singing to their full potential. And because of that, I do believe that a large part of why we won the Grammy that year is because everyone was putting in such a strong effort to make the opera come to life. The music on the page is great, and it's wonderful that composers can think and can think up these great melodies and tunes and orchestral pieces and such, but it's just music on a page until we come forward and bring our story and our experience, our life experience and our hearts into it. So it was great to be a part of Porgy and Bess. It's another part of my of my journey that I won't forget anytime soon.
That's lovely. What's also very special for us, Angel Blue, is straight after the Symphony Orchestra of India season is over, Operalia comes to India for the very first
Yes,
time, and we're hugely excited. I remember having a conversation with Alvaro Domingo, the great Placido Domingo's son, and he was
yes,
telling me about how excited the people at Operalia are also coming to
awesome.
India. It's important for us to talk about your journey to competing in Operalia because, you know, I'm sure it shaped your experience of being in the competition as a young person. It gave a lot of impetus to your career. And what really is Operalia's role in shaping new talent? I'd like you to talk about that, please.
Operalia is really the I just, for me, it's like, I will call it, since we just finished the Olympics, it's almost like the Olympics of opera singing, because you really are listening to some of the best talent around the globe. And for me, when I talk about my experience in Operalia, I competed in 2009, and I had never been outside of the United States really. My parents, we had gone to some countries, but I hadn't experienced Europe. I had never been to Europe. I had been to the Middle East and to Canada and Mexico, but I had not been to Europe. And when I was offered when I sent in all of my materials, of course, and then when I was offered a place to represent the United States in Operalia, I didn't know what to do. I was so excited, and I sort of felt like that my dreams were coming true, and they really were. That was the beginning of my journey to see my international career start. And I flew from Los Angeles to Amsterdam. That was my first flight, and my first after that was Amsterdam to Budapest, and then a 3-hour drive to a city called Pécs, Hungary, or Pécs, Hungary. And it was great because when I arrived there, I knew I was jet lagged. I knew I was tired, but the excitement of for someone who hadn't been really out of the United States, and then the first day hearing everyone sing, people from Australia, people from India, people from there was a singer from I think the year I competed, there was a singer from Ghana, there was someone from Lithuania, all around the globe, and we were all young, and we had this fire, this joy, this yearning to sing. And I had never really been around that kind of, I hadn't been exposed to that. And that's what Operalia does, I think, for the younger singer, is that it takes you and it puts you right in the thick of what it means to be an opera singer, because that's what we do. We're around different cultures, different people, everyone from a different background, but we all have that one thing that we enjoy, and that's singing. Operalia is very special for that, and I applaud Maestro Domingo. I will always, always, always hold him in a very high regard in my heart, because without him, my career definitely wouldn't be where it is right now. And I know that he really has an affinity for the young singer. And I think that's very special because he's also singing, and to have the interest in the younger generations coming up behind him as a legend, to actually care, is something very special. I hope that I can do the same thing in some way as I keep singing. I hope that I'm able to in some way be a part of his legacy, because I'm able to keep other people encouraged in singing as well.
That's lovely. I'd like you to give a message for audiences in Mumbai, telling them why they should come for Operalia. And,
Oh.
almost like a call to action.
Oh, oh, why should they come? I think they should come to Operalia because it's a wonderful experience to hear singers from all around the world, young singers, people who are just getting started. And it's great that you'll be in the audience listening to these singers, and it might be somebody who in 10 years has completely exploded in the opera world, and you're hearing their name all of the time, and you can say, oh, I heard them when they first were starting their opera career. But I think even more than that, it's just a very special experience to be a part of. It's a special concert to watch all of the singers through different phases of competition. Maestro Domingo has the Zarzuela Prize, and that's a very, very important part of the competition. I won that prize when I competed, and it's in honor of his parents. It's so fantastic, and you hear people come in and sing this fiery and exciting Spanish operetta. So I mean, you'll hear a myriad of different kinds of styles of classical singing in Operalia. So there's many reasons to attend. Also, of course, Maestro Domingo will be there, and to see Maestro Domingo up close is and working with singers is something also very exciting to see, very important to see a legend work with younger singers is. I mean, I wish I could go. Honestly, if I didn't have anything going on at that time, I probably would come back and watch it again. So it's just I think for me it's the greatest. It is definitely, I would say, the greatest opera competition that's out there, and to have the opportunity to see it is spectacular in my opinion.
That's lovely. The 2024 edition of Operalia will be hosted by the NCPA from the 15th to the 21st of September. I repeat, from the 15th to the 21st of September, the Operalia for the first time ever comes to Mumbai city, comes to India. I want to just ask you, I know I'm taking you back in time. I
Okay.
understand you started playing the classical piano at age 6 or 7 and then started singing at 9. What made you want to be an opera singer in particular? At what stage did you say, I want to take up this art form?
Yes, I have this. I started singing very early, but I've always heard classical music. I recently was asked, when did you first hear opera? When did it become a part of your life? And I can't remember. It's kind of like asking me, when did you meet your mom? She's always been there. When did you meet your dad? He's always been there. So it's the same with singing. When I was 4 years old, my parents took me to a concert version of the opera Turandot, and that's when I fell in love with opera. And I looked up at my dad and I said, Dad, I want to be like the woman in the light. And my beautiful dad looked down at me and smiled and said, Angel, you can absolutely be like the woman in the light. And ever since then, I've wanted to sing. I had my first voice lesson when I was 6. And then I started playing piano. My mom's taught me scales and things. Then I had a piano teacher. And then when I was 8 years old, I had the lead solo in the Handel's The Children's Messiah by Handel at my school. It was a very short version of it, but I had the lead solo at 8 years old. 9 years old, I was taking more voice lessons, and by 10, I did my first voice competition in California, and I lost. It was very good to lose at that time. I didn't know that at the time, of course, but it was a good thing that I didn't receive the first prize, because it showed me, it kind of prepared me for the road that was ahead. And I remember being so disappointed that I didn't win, and I thought that because I was singing this Italian art song as this opera singer at 10 years old, that it was very special, and that it would be something that would sort of make people think highly of me, I suppose. But it was a very at 10 years old, it was a very important lesson to learn. And I take all of those moments going to the high school that I went to. My high school was 2 hours away from where I lived. So I traveled every day 2 hours to school, and I went to school, studied opera, studied academics as well, and then traveled 2 hours to get back home. And I did that for 3 years. That's because I love the opera. I love classical music. I love singing. And all of those little moments of singing from the time I was 4 until my age today have just really made my journey. I recognize now that all of those things that have been uplifting, and the things that have felt like setbacks and challenges, obstacles, they've all brought me to where I am today. And I still love it. I'm still very thankful for it all. So but the answer to answer your question, my first experience in opera happened when I was 4 years old. And I'm very thankful that my parents decided to take me to that concert, because I fell in love with something that I'm still passionate about.
That's lovely. We got a lot of ground covered. We talked about Operalia, Maestro Zubin Mehta, Maestro Placido Domingo, and of course, your time with the Symphony Orchestra of India here. We can't wait to have you back
Thank you.
at the NCPA. My last question has got to be about the facility itself. Having been here twice at the National
Yeah.
Center of Performing Arts, did you get a guided tour? I'm sure you performed at either the Tata Theatre or the Jamshid Baba, but there are also small little theatres like the Little Theatre, the Godrej Theatre, the Experimental Theatre, which are there in the complex, which I think is very
Yes.
beautiful for anybody in the arts.
Yes, yes. The last time I was in India, I performed. There was another theater where I had a recital with Vuyani Milne from South Africa, and
That's
I
right.
can't remember the name of the theater, but a different theater, a smaller theater, and it was a great intimate setting with a very good acoustic. So I think that's actually one of the things I would like to just share really quickly, is the acoustic of that building is very good. It's nice that to sing feels very, very freeing, because it's not that one has to come in and try to push their sound in the building. But we didn't receive at the time of this just last trip. I didn't receive a any kind of guided tour, but that's just because there wasn't any time. It was all um, very quick, unfortunately. So I do hope to come back so that I can have more time in India. But I also want to say thank you to the people, that Bianca and everyone backstage who helped me and my family while we were there. It was a beautiful, beautiful time there. The first time I went to India, I had a great time and I wanted to stay longer. And this time was no different, where I also enjoyed myself and wanted to spend more time with the people and in the city and seeing the city. So I look forward to coming back.
Well, just doing a rewind, Angel Blue came in February of 2015, and what she's referring to, the performance with Vuyani Mlende, was at the Experimental Theatre, which is it's a smaller space used for both theatre productions as well as bands going and singing in there with a great acoustic, and you're here and there's seating even above and on the sides and in front. And this time, of course, she performed at the mother of all theatres, the Jamshid Baba, with Maestro Zubin Mehta and the Symphony Orchestra of India, which is both at the same complex, the National Centre of Performing Arts. I really value your time. Thank you very much for sharing some of it, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
94.3 Radio 1.